Okay, thank you so much. So I say hello to go over the ocean to Brazil, and I have to present. Let's start. My name is Hans Brander. I'm working as a cloud productivity evangelist at a German cloud company. And you see on the right side, I'm an average MVP for Office Service and Services. I have worked in a company 2 years ago. There I also met Sarah in US. So I have for a migration company. Now I'm working for a company. He is only working for cloud and all this stuff. You can meet me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you see. And therefore, it's a good idea. If you have any questions, to give it. Sarah will collect it and have to translate it sometimes. So it's not so quick. And then I will answer all these questions. So in the agenda, I have several things. I will a little bit talk in this 25 minutes about the architecture, the roadmap. What do you do with OneDrive sharing? There are a lot of OneDrive files on demand. The latest news from Igniter was that Igniter and Speak was one of the 200 speakers for these 28,000 people at Ignite, and I have to talk about OneDrive files. And that's very interesting. And you see all these stuff. I have questions and answers for you. And the first question is, do you know the difference of the three critical symbols you have in the notification area? So the white one is OneDrive Personal, but the blue ones, they are different. If you look, yes, they are different. The one, the darker, is now Groove. That's the old client, and the whiter blue is the next generation Sync client. But you have to look about the architecture. That means on the left side, that's you as a person who worked with all these stuff, and you see you have a possibility to have to OneDrive for Business and OneDrive. That's the first thing we have to differentiate it, because OneDrive, Microsoft always play to OneDrive. I tell OneDrive Personal, that's the lower one, and the upper one, OneDrive for Business. And it goes to the upload center. Sometimes we also have a database in there, and you see there are three possibilities. OneDrive Personal on the left side, and the other one is OneDrive. No, it's SharePoint on-premise, and on the right side you have Office 365, where we can synchronize data. So we have to look, yes, if you have a OneDrive and you can connect to a SharePoint on-prem, you still have to use the old Groove exe. That's installation per device. There are different languages, but you can only have one installed. You can sync these stuff, but all or nothing. No selective sync. You see, there are bad or no error messages. That makes it complicated with the old Sync client. Therefore, Microsoft have to say, hey, we have to differentiate. And there are limits. There are limits on the SharePoint side. If you sync with Groove, that means 5,000 elements in SharePoint team sites or 20,000 elements in personal sites. And you see the file name are still only 256 characters with the tenant name and all these stuff. And you have not valid characters like the hashtag and the percentage sign. So that's the synchronization with SharePoint on-prem. Thinking about the new architecture of OneDrive Exa. It runs in a user context. It comes with 113 different languages. There is one engine. You can instate with several instances. You have selective sync. There is enterprise ready. It's self-updating, and it syncs, but only with Office 365. So that's a difference of these both sync client. And if you see all files you have in the cloud, if you have OneDrive, it's Azure files, and if you have it in Office 365, the data are stored in the blob storage, only if you want to know that. So that's a synchronization, the limits of next generation sync client. The file lengths are 15 gigs. Now you have file name lengths about 400 characters. The not valid characters we spoke 2 minutes before, the hashtag and the ampersand, yes, you can the percentage sign now use it, but no network drive, no authentication proxies, and this time I say no information rights management protected libraries. That will change till end of the year. So you can do this with all these stuff with different clients, with Vista, Service Pack 2, with Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, all of the above, all of the servers. But remember, it's a user client. It's in the user context. It starts if you are have a connection as a user. So this automatism we have in the past with the Groove client does not work anymore. So that's a different thing with all these things of the above, and you have also the possibility to install it on Windows 2016. So again, on the left side, that's on-premise. You still have it to use it on Groove. On the right side, you see with the next generation sync client, we can use it. At the top level, OneDrive Personal. At the tenant level, OneDrive for Business. That's a 1 terabyte thing each user has in Office 365. It share with me, if Sarah shared with me a file out of her OneDrive for Business, yes, I can also sync to my machine. That means if I change something, it change it in Sarah's OneDrive for Business. So all of you above, the team sites, A, B, C, or whatever you want, all the groups, all document libraries inside your Office 365 may be synchronized with next generation sync client. And if you see it on the left side, you can make it more complicated. That means, hey, you have OneDrive, that's a personal one. It's only possible to have only one OneDrive personal, but many other instances of OneDrive for Business with the next generation sync client. That's his old story. I told you 1 minute before, but you can also have, as a consultant, if you have the possibility, a second tenant. That means, yes, now we have 3 icons, 2 blue ones and 1 normal one. That means a white one. That's a OneDrive Personal. So that is possible with all these stuff you want, and also the share with me, with different tenants at the same time syncing to your machine. But it's a little bit more. OneDrive for Business comes now with 273, not only 72, different file types. That means, yes, if Sarah has an Adobe Photoshop, that I do not have it, and to share the file with me, I can look at that and see the file. It will display it on my machine. I can look also to the different 273 filters. That means, yes, I can show it to me. I do not have to install any application. I see it. I cannot work with them, but I see the information in OneDrive for Business as a filter viewer. And all these stuff can be handled via the admin center in Office 365. So that means, yes, you have different things, what you can install and what you can do. That's a little bit complicated, but you can do that and have your admin to say, yes, I want to have that for sharing information only for several days. Now it's very interesting. You can also have it to not in your domain users, that means to a Gmail account or something else, and it's only a one-time pass count. That means, yes, all this stuff has to be included. And if you do something here on the website, you see, yes, I would like to have the link settings to anyone or to people in my organization or to specific people. I will allow here the other settings. I allow editing, and this link will be closed on 2nd of August, if you see that. That's in the website, but you have the same experience on the OneDrive files. If you see that in your File Explorer and you press a button, right mouse button, and say, I want to share it, the same situation is you don't have to go inside the web browser. So that means, yes, and now for all the people with OneDrive files on demand, that means this situation is coming with Windows 10. With the Windows Fall Creators update of all this stuff. That's the first thing. It's integrated in Windows 10. Now it's married with the file system. That's NTFS in Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. I don't like fall because it looks like fail, but it's autumn. But remember, autumn is only in the Western Hemisphere. My friends in Australia have spring. So that's not a good name, but you have to call it fall, Windows Fall Creators Update. That's one of the part. It's in the system in there, but it's only available for all these stuff for the insiders in summer 2017, and now it's available for all these people. That means if you go into and have activated that, you have to press the activation button in your Windows version. You have the right Windows version. Now you see that's a status. That's a status with 3 different symbols. That means, yes, you see different symbols. It's in cloud. All things in the cloud are displayed, but does not take any space on your machine. Hey, I can have on a little machine terabytes of data. It takes no place there. If you have the green icon or the full green icon, that means it's synchronized to your machine. And there are different stuff. You see all this. You can say, hey, I want to do it and have always keep on this device. That's a possibility. You can check it. You can say, yes, I want to synchronize all together. Or you will have it and you see it here. The backup media, for example, it takes in the cloud 1 terabyte of data, but no byte on your machine. You see all these files? They are only in the cloud, but you can have all access them if you want. So that's a different, you see it also on a different machine. How does it look if you have pictures in there? They are only in the cloud. I see the information. Remember, no space consumption on your device. That's the best thing what we have. Yeah? Here's again 121 megabytes in the file folder, size on disk 0 byte. Means the changing of all this stuff is done in an NTFS system. There are 2 attributes in that, and you can have it if you say, yes, 1 attribute means you can also have it on your machine synchronized to the cloud. So you can change all this stuff via batch. And you can select more and say free up space. That's a delete action, but not into the cloud. It's delete only your files in there. That's a shift delete. That means nothing go to the recycle bin, and also no information will go into the cloud. It's only deleted on your machine. You cannot restore it. Yes, you can, because the symbol has changed to I'm in cloud only, and you can have all this data back to your machine if you want. So that's a different. You see now the information. And that's the best story Microsoft has done. Terabytes of data on the smallest machine. And therefore, you can wake with all this stuff. Always keep on this device. I can change it. Also, it will sync to it. If you have a great video as a big file, it will ask you, hey, do you want to stream this video, or do you want to synchronize this 3 gigabyte stop of data to your local machine? So that means you see all this data. If it's synchronized, now you see the sync button, and you see also in OneDrive for Business that you have it. That means you can collaborate with different people. On the weekend, I say, oh, all things are cleared, and that's the best scenario what we can do. You need the Windows Fall Creators Update, and the minimum version is 17.37064 for all the stuff that you want to reactivate. Later versions will come, that's okay, but not formally. People have to look. That's a self-updating. You don't have to look, hey, what's this updating? Do I have to make an administrator or something else? No. No administrator is available, no Windows Update service. You don't have to do it. Each day, one time, it will look, what's your tenant? Do you have a tenant? In which is this release tenant? First release or second release or whatever? And what's your version on your operating system? What operating system? And all these combinations will look. And if there is new information, Microsoft has decided to you, yes, you will have the new information. It will update to 21 megabytes and will install it on your machine. And you have the newest client for this machine available. So therefore, you don't have to remember that. It will automatically, no administrator will walk about. In the future, that will change it a little bit, because thinking about you have 10,000 users, each user will go to the cloud and load down the 21 megabytes. So there will change these megabytes only as a delta sync. That's the future. Now we have 21 megabytes. There is no proxy available, and you can do it. From the Ignite also, I was in the Ignite and I have to speak, and therefore I have some information. With the files on demand, we have spoken. Support till end of the year, you will have support for IAM protected libraries to the next generation sync client. This time it's not available, but by the end of the year there is available all over the globe. So although for multi-geo, but I don't well tell it all, that's very interesting, this big one. If you want to have encryption with your own key, if you don't trust Microsoft, yes, it's possible. It will come to your tenant, and then you can also have the possibility to have your own key. But you now is the only thing you have to remember these keys, store it in a safe way. These customer keys is very interesting. Otherwise, you have no choice to restore it. Microsoft has no data. So that means, yes, there is a monk. You also get the slide deck. Yes, I make it available. It comes in a few seconds. That means, yes, you see also some information till end of the year, what is sharing with you and whom is sharing. So that's a big thing that you see how I do have connect and how do I have shared with all this information. Support for OneDrive with OneDrive Windows and Android app, OpenEdX experience will come, and you also see some information about all this stuff. That means OneDrive sharing experience is coming to Office now. Out of your Excel, out of your Word, they will change it, although that you have the same experience you now have in the Explorer or in the web CU. So that means, yes, there are several new things. You see it. Office for Mac now includes a sync client. That's also very interesting, but we have no time. In 25 minutes, it's impossible to see all this stuff. Means for all these people that have a SharePoint on-premise, there is a good news. The on-premise support for OneDrive sync client with the next generation sync client will come with SharePoint 2019. Means, yes, next spring, in 3 or 4 months, we will have the preview until end of the year 2019. We will have the SharePoint 2019. And then you can, with only one thin client, connect to everywhere. But no SharePoint in the preview. That means now, till end of the year, you see, and the Groove thin client is SharePoint on-prem 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016. We still need for the document library protected with IAM the old Groove client in Office 365. But that will be changed till end of the year. Means now they will have it, the doc library protected with IAM and Office 365 till the new machine. You will have that. And the next generation sync client. So remember, till end of the year, we will have next year, we will have the SharePoint 2019, and therefore you have to bring the budget to the customers and say, hey, customer, I need a new SharePoint 2019. I have a SharePoint 2007. I have to migrate all my stuff to 2019 if you want to have it. Or think going into the cloud completely to SharePoint Online. So what will come in the future? The last few minutes. Thinking about all this stuff, if you will be malware cracked, that means, yes, your PC is destroyed and all files will be encrypted with these keys. So that's a problem. If you have a OneDrive for Business installed, that means, yes, your version of all the synchronized files will be cracked although. That you see on the right side, there was a big issue. Now that will come in a few till end of the year, in a few weeks. That means your OneDrive for Business can be restored. You can have it at a minimum. That means at this time, okay, I have only the button on the second and see, yes, that I want to restore. Then I bring the button, press the button, restore, and you will be asked again. That's the old Windows 7. Sorry. Hey, you will be asked, are you sure you want to restore your OneDrive? Thinking that's 2,300 changes. You can do it manually. It takes a long time. So it's a little bit better to take it with this story and press a restore button, and then you have it although. You have to build a new machine. Yes, because they are still cracked. But with a new machine, all their data are there and it's no longer encrypted. Means some recommendations for the last 2 things for the last 6 minutes. So that means OneDrive for Business, there are some recommendations, what you should do. First, if you need more information, you can write the information, give us some questions. Yes, that's all the information coming from Ignite. That's all the sessions about OneDrive. That means a lot of hours. You see each session takes 1 hour, and you see all these sessions, you can have it. There are some links to the slides. You have the original slide deck like this one, and also some videos. Keep it on, press your body into a chair, press it direct, and say, now I want to see this video. I need more information about Microsoft. So that's very interesting to think all these OneDrive buttons. But think about, hey, there are some other recommendations to look which we have. Microsoft's OneDrive recognized as a leader. That's a story about the OneDrive original blog from Microsoft. So now we are in a position to say we can more collaborate. We can say, I want to see nobody in this audience that you send as an attachment, a picture or a big document, press it on, save it on OneDrive, send only the link that the people can recognize. So that's the thing. I also write in 2 languages. That means, yes, on my blog in 2 languages, you will have all the information about SkyDrive, OneDrive. That's about 800 articles. Also, the last 2 years in English, I press it. That's a lot of work. You have to write it in German, and you have to write it again in English. Double work, but I do it. Also, there is interesting the roadmap you have to look. That's all about. I filtered it here. You see it on the upper left, OneDrive. That means 59 hits, and 8 of the functionalities are launched. 12 are rolling out. That means it takes a little bit time. If your tenant is in there, then you will also get the features. 26 new features will in development. Then that's the issue. You should always look in the Office 365, not only for OneDrive. It's a good thing to see, hey, what is coming in the near future. There are several links for you. You have to do it right. That means, hey, where do I get these information? So now you have to put the information here. It's bit.ly and it's MS Direct feedback /82. Or you make a picture of this QR code. That means you can give Microsoft a direct report with 3 questions. It takes 1 minute. And also an open question and say, hey, this, I want to have it. I'm a Mac user and I am not available about these files on demand. May I have this one? Please do that. So that's the information. You can have it with this direct response to the Microsoft product group. Normally, there is another thing. That's user voice. You can have this information. But here, it's a direct link to the manager of Microsoft. Last not least, there is also a bit.ly code. That's bit.ly MS365 Day Brazil. And that's the information where you get these slides. So that's the information. You have the completely slide deck and you can present it whatever you want. Give all the information to me if you want it. And I have to say, very, very well. It's 2 minutes. I have a little bit time for that. That means, yes, that's a complete story about OneDrive for Business in 25 minutes. Normally, 25 minutes is not so vain. I have to put it up very, very quick. Normally, I take me more time, but in 25 minutes, you have all seen all these stuff. So thank you so much for all the information. And I have to give Sarah the word.